Hey there, it's Steve here and welcome to this video tutorial on using ConvertKit Broadcast that gives you every step you could possibly need in full. Now, before we get started, I also want to say that this is part of my full and free online course on using ConvertKit available on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link at the bottom. Watch this and then go there at the end so you can get more out of ConvertKit, and again, all free, all online. So with that said, let's get to it and enjoy this tutorial. Basically, your broadcasts, for me, it's always a term that never really stuck in my mind. I found broadcast a bit of an odd name for it, but it is your mass email, probably the main reason why you are looking for something like ConvertKit. And so you can send these out to your entire subscriber list, or you can send them out, for your latest updates, filters and tags, as we'll look at now. But basically, this is the core of the email marketing software. It's just more of your standard push notifications and messages. Okay, so we'll get into how you do it and all the options you've got now. Okay, so let's build out our first ConvertKit broadcast. Now, by default, you can see that there is a new broadcast already here in draft, so it gives you an idea of how to start. Again, you've got the new broadcast button over here. I can just press edit as well. And notice you've got a search function and a bit of an overview of the different types of broadcasts you've got. Processing is just after you've hit send. It does take a while for them to go out because let's say you've got 1,000 people, it has to queue them up and do them in batches. Queued is when you've actually got it set on a time release and it's not yet gone out, but it's waiting to, and obviously completed has been sent. So I'll press edit and you see it loads out this form here. So the first one is you can actually choose sending address. Now by default it's the one you signed up with, but you can see here you can add a new one if you need to. So you can have multiple accounts, which is really nice. Then below that we've got matching any of the following, matching all, and if you choose you could have all, any or none of the following. So you can select the criteria. And if you do make a mistake with the rules, you can cross them here. Again, if I choose all subscribers, I can edit. So let's say I just want to do it to subscribe to forms. Okay. And I could choose the type of form in the drop down and update. And you see I've got an and option, pretty much simple Boolean stuff here where I can add another filter onto the same one. And then below you can add another level, perhaps people who you want to exclude. So let's say press there, press none, and you've got a huge range here as you can see. Can get very, very granular, distance from a city even, geographical location, segments. Let's say cold subscribers, so people who haven't, as per ConvertKit's terms, engaged with any of your email content within the last 90 days. So maybe you want to exclude your cold subscribers. You get better engagement from them. If you get lower engagement rates, sometimes email service providers, their end, might judge your content to be spam. So that is one thing you can do. So you can set these up. Again, you can get as complicated or as granular as you like. As you can see, these are called filter groups, okay, in ConvertKit. So adding a filter group is that. Now you can add a broadcast description. So this is really for your own records. So let's say something like that. Again, you want to be more descriptive. Tagging them is going to help you look back and see at a glance what was in that broadcast. So that will help you to review and reflect on what you've done so far. And again, if you need to delete anything, you've got your delete button down the bottom here. So if I scroll back up, now I've got an option. I can either press next step or I can click content. Okay, they are one and the same. So I'll click content, and as you can tell, this is where we will add our email content. Now, previously in the sequences, I only used the legacy editor. This time, just to give you an idea of how it works, let's have a look at the new editor. Again, when you're watching this may have already been rolled out and enforced, so it's good to have an idea of how it works in more detail. And so the first thing we see, we've got our email subject line. Now we talked about trying to make these catchy, so I'll just pause as I do that. But what you'll also notice, before I pause actually, you've got an A/B testing option here, which is really nice. So you can split test and see exactly what works and what doesn't. So you get an idea of which ones get the most opens. So you can then start to hone your own email subject lines. Just a word of warning, only make one change, okay? Because if you're doing more than one change, you're not going to know what change affected the outcome. I've done that in the past, and I've gone a bit gung-ho and written completely different subject lines. You know, I'd say it'd be the difference between maybe starting with an emoji or using capital letters for one word and things like that. So you can then incrementally increase. I mean, it's never perfect because you're never going to know exactly the same people reading it, but just keep it to one variable, one change per test. So back to the program, I'm now going to write those subject lines, and let's see. So I've just written up my 2 subject lines, and you know, as described, I've just put one keyword in capitals and one not, and that would be a good test for the A/B testing to have a very good idea. Like I said, you could put emojis in there. I quite like that when I've sent them out in the past, but for this one I'm just going to try the capitals. Otherwise they're all in title case, first letter is capitalized, so you've got a genuine comparison there. And I should add that, you know, I'm doing this as a test account from scratch, but when you've got a real account, it's very easy and clear to see the analytics. It tells you the winner in terms of open rates out of your 2 A/B tests as well. So that's always a nice thing to have. Okay, now if I come down to my email content, using the new editor, you can see I've got the plus icon over here. And when I press that, in line with the text, I've got these options. So I can add an image, file, button, video, divider, and so on. Now, the personalization is probably where you want to start. And this gives us this dialog box. And as we did before, I'd probably recommend this subscriber's first name with fallback, just as we've done in the past. So that's taken care of. Hit enter, new line. And again, let's press that plus icon. Let's see what we've got. So you can put a video in there. It's a really nice touch. Obviously, we've got a personalization. Now a snippet, that's not something we've come across before, but that's a really nice option to have. So if I press snippet, now it guides us through, create reusable blocks of content that you can use in any broadcast sequence or email. So I can access them through account settings. Now I can click there, but just to show you, and the account settings are something we'll come on to after this. If I click on my account name, you can see they are here, okay, content snippets. So let's go in that way for now. So snippets obviously give us the opportunity to reuse things, but we also want to avoid the temptation of being formulaic. Okay, so we've got to think about them in the broader use, but just for now, let's do a functionality test and get an idea of how they work. And again, it gives us this overview, and I can view archive snippets there if you've archived any. So if I press new content snippet, then it gives me this dialog box. So first thing, to give it a name. So let's say I'm just going to do my Surf Learner call to action, click blog post, because maybe I could use some kind of formulaic text there to call them to that action. Again, want to be careful not to use it all the time. I could vary it, but just as a start. And if I come down the content, again, we're into the new editor, so we've got to use that now. So if I click down here, I can add an image and all the other points we've seen before, personalization, etc. Depends how you want to play that. But if I just want to add text, I don't need to press the plus icon. I can just add it in line. So I'll pause as I do that. Okay, so I've just put a bolded short sentence that is a call to action with some urgency and leading them then. I could put the link below that or a descriptive bit of text, however I like. And that's it. You know, I've just bolded it, put one word in capitals, and I can save it. And you'll see that it pops up here. And so what this code does then is that effectively becomes, you know, like part of the mail merge type functions we've seen before. And when you go into your broadcast, as we'll do in a moment, you get the option to simply insert that seamlessly. So let's go back to our broadcast. And you can see this is saved where we left off. So I'll go back to edit broadcast. And remember, you've got the 3 steps. So it's taking me back to step 1 now. Let's go to content step 2. And perhaps I want to save this just to be sure again. And so if I put a new line, when I press the plus icon, that is where I can add my snippets. You see if I scroll down, and there it is in the dialog box as it wasn't there before. So I'll press add to email, and that will have my call to action. Again, I want to wrap some text around that, so maybe I'll do that now. Could also do a snippet as a sign off if you're going to add that as well. So I'll pause as I add some text around my snippet. Okay, so I've just gone in and added some of that text around it. Again, trying to build up to it, and then my snippet. Now obviously in this case I would need to put a link, so I can just take one from my website shortly and put that in. And we can have a look in the next stage at the preview. So I'll just go and grab a link from my blog and let's see how it looks. Actually, as I do that, I'll show you something along the way. So let's say I wanted to put this article in. What I'd recommend actually, instead of putting a raw URL, is put the descriptive text. Now that's recommended by Google in terms of accessibility as well. Let's say people with visual impairments, anybody who's using some kind of screen reader, they don't recommend putting a raw URL. So what I can do is copy the URL and then also copy the title. Now I'm on Windows 10, so if I press the Windows key and V, you see my clipboard. So I can click on that because this is anything I've copied in the past. And if I highlight it, then I can press the link button and press the Windows key and V again, and I've got my link. Again, I can add a tag here however I like. Maybe I'm going to bold that, make it really clear. I can do a few other things, as you can see, on highlighting. Lots of little options, and the little drip icon actually lets you change the color if you'd want. I'm going to leave it because I quite like the colors. They stand out and they're already recommended and pre-formatted. So provided this all looks good to me, then I can perhaps again press save just to be sure, and I can preview it in a browser. So we get the pop-up. Now that looks a little bit different to what I was expecting, probably because I put a line break in to my snippet. Well, I didn't show you that, but I put a line break. So I want to go and change that at the snippet level, and perhaps I've already also put a line break in here as well. So let's close that. So I'll go and edit my snippet just to take that line break out. Content snippets. Remember, I'd saved it before I did that as well. Click on it, and then you can see I'll just remove the line break and press save. Again, if I go back to broadcasts, I could use the back button, but you know, let's do it this way. Edit broadcast. Click content, step 2. Hopefully you're getting familiar with the flow of ConvertKit now. And then let's see. If I preview this in browser, okay, that looks better. I've got one less line, nice line break. So it does look like it'll insert a line break after a snippet, but that's something we can, you know, hone as we go further along. Nice and clear. Maybe press Control and test that, and it opens fine in a new tab. Great. Just close these. Okay, so we've obviously got our email in place now. Couple of other points to look at then. If we look over on the right hand side, we've already done the preview in browser mode, the pop-up. You can also at this point preview with any email you like, and this is a nice option. So if I press that, and then I can send a preview to my email, which I've just done actually. If I flick over to it, you'll see it here, and so we get a real idea of how it's going to look. And if I click on it, well, I should say before I do, you start to notice, at least in my Gmail, you do see a snippet here, so that is going to help. You can think about that, those first few words or that first welcome line, etc. That can really help to get an open rate that is better as well. Now, first name goes here. It won't be like that for them, but just for my test, that's how it looks. And you can see it looked a little bit different to the browser preview we had earlier. This is exactly how your subscribers will see it. And you can see it's Steve at Surf Learner via ConvertKit. Okay, so that really gives you a much clearer indication. So I'd recommend, if I just close this, using the email preview in the content pane. That's a nice way to do it, and make sure you don't miss anything crucial at this point. Now, email templates. These are a little bit more advanced for design and so on. We can talk about them shortly, but if you do have any setup, they will pull through into here. Okay, so depends how you set them up and what you name them as, but you can use your templates at this point. And if I scroll down, you've got a help guide here if you need it, and also you can save. So actually I'll just save as always, and then I'll flick on over to the preview. So in the preview window, then we see the title, at least the first title. Then we've got, if you've done the split test or the A/B test, you'll see it below. It also explains the logic, so it sends each version to 15%, therefore making up 30%, the two, and then the winner goes to the remaining 70% after 4 hours. So it does take a little bit longer, but again, it should be improving the quality, enhancing your open rates and so on. Down below, you can preview as a subscriber. Again, as I've only got myself as a subscriber at this point, it won't let me do that, but you will see a list of those. Personally, I would recommend just previewing, in the previous window, unless there's a specific purpose for doing it here. And then again, we're seeing the same email, just to be sure. For some reason, it gives you the option to delete down there. Not sure why you do that at this point, but anyway, over on the right, then you get an overview of what's there. And it tells you, the status, how many recipients, and it's set in this case to default at send immediately. So if I click schedule, then maybe I can send it tomorrow. And if I do that, then it will ask me for the time as well, and well, the hour and the minutes. And you can see it's at Eastern time, so it is for US audiences initially, but you can calculate that time, US Eastern time. And so if I want to change it back to now or immediately, I'll just press unschedule, and there it is, back to immediately, instead of trying to work out the time. I've got the option to send my broadcast at this point as well, or I can save the draft. And in this case, let's just hit send and see what happens. So you get your last warning, are you sure? Click send. And then it will take you through and give you the green success message at the top, and it will tell you what process. So it's processing, and again, it depends on the size of your email list of how many subscribers, but it will take a little while. So it's only got one recipient, but you can see you get how many of those emails have been sent, percentage of open rates, click rate, clicks, and unsubscribers. So you get a nice overview immediately below, and it'll start to populate then with all the broadcasts you do. So if you do want to reuse a broadcast, let's say, you can click the title, and first of all, it'll give you the overview, including the A/B test results. And in this case, they are pending, but it does make it very clear how a winner comes out. And again, we've got more of these stats, just in a bit bigger format. And over here, you've got the duplicate option. Okay, so that'll take a straight copy. If I click on content, I can copy and paste just the text if I want, or again, I can still take the duplicate at this point. And the share option is quite nice if you need to share that content with someone who doesn't have access to your ConvertKit account. So if you press share, then it will add it to this domain ckarchive.com, and you can then copy and paste that and send it to maybe your virtual assistant or whoever you need, depending on the situation, but that's there as well. So if I go back to all broadcasts, it's still processing, but either way, that will go out very shortly, and that's it. We've done our ConvertKit broadcast to our email list. Fantastic. So that's the end of this tutorial on ConvertKit broadcast. Now, I'd like you to watch the full tutorial on ConvertKit so you can get most out of it. Again, it's the free one I've put on YouTube, complete course really that you'd pay for elsewhere, all for free online. So if you go there now and watch that, you can learn everything you need about ConvertKit. I'll put the link below this video in the description and in a comment. So hopefully you find it really helpful, and also remember to subscribe if you enjoyed this so I can make more videos like this to help more people. And I'll see you soon in another video. Thanks for watching.